Yo, what is going on, guys? Caleb, aka Legacy, coming at you with another video, and I'm just gonna quickly be going over the hotfix that just dropped here. Guess it was about an hour and a half ago now, so someone's probably already got a video out on it, but screw it. Wanted to play the game and can't play the game, so just gonna go over the patch notes real quick, give my thoughts on it, and yeah, get the information out there in case you guys haven't seen this yet. So yeah, to start off, I just wanted to say W Paul, man. Paul is absolutely cooking with these changes. He's been dropping a chain of absolute banger changes, man. Like, yeah, it just feels like they're finally listening to the community, finally making changes that we want to see. Yeah, I don't want to be a hater and say SDF was like the problem, but yeah, if you guys missed it, basically in the last podcast, whatever you call it, the dev interview, they announced that Paul, and I believe Terry and Tandem are going to be taking over the basically decision making in terms of the balance changes. So yeah, don't want to hate on SDF, like I said. I'm just glad to see the game headed in the right direction finally, after so many bad changes and all the turmoil that we've been through. So yeah, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. We're going to kind of skim through the bug fixes. Bug fixes are always good, but, you know, nothing too crazy to talk about here. One thing I did want to mention is they fixed an issue where players could lose items after a forced termination and reconnection while matchmaking had not been completed. Not sure if this is the one I'm thinking of. Forced termination and reconnection while matchmaking had not been completed. Yeah, basically there's this bug where you would queue and then you wouldn't really be queuing, you know what I mean? Like, you would queue and then it would just sit there infinitely, tick up. You wouldn't be able to cancel the queue. And basically it put you in the game, but you were still in the lobby on your screen. And you'd have to restart your game and load back up and rejoin to the match in progress. And so then if you got a spawn where the mobs didn't despawn properly, I know there's one on ruins where there's a bat that aggroes you instantly, so if you spawn there, you could just die and lose your stuff. So if that is that change, that's a great change, because that was a pretty annoying bug. There's some other small stuff, fixed some wooden crate spawns, goblin caves, you know, just normal bug fixes. Apparently there's a bug with Sorcerer where you could cheese the fire colossus, and they patched that out, so that's good. This is another one that's worth mentioning. Fixing an issue where the headshot damage bonus could exceed its maximum cap due to certain perks. Specifically specifically Ranger and Barb have perks that give them headshot damage bonus. If you don't know how it works, basically a headshot is always 150% damage, so you know, a body shot is 100%, limb shot I think is 50 or 75%, and then a headshot's 150%. And then I think they announced it at the beginning of the season or something that the maximum headshot damage bonus is supposed to be 200%. But yeah, I kind of figured this was just intended, but with Ranger and Barb, you could get past the 200%. So if you stacked 50% headshot damage bonus, that would give you the, you know, natural 200%. And then with fighters, what's it called? Executioner. Sorry, I keep saying fighter. Barbarian's Executioner. That gives you 20%. And then Ranger's Headhunter gives you 15%, so you could get to 215 and 220 on those two classes. So it seems like they changed that so that that doesn't work anymore, so that's probably a good thing. Fix an issue where physical power, magic power would display incorrect values, so that's good. Don't want to be seeing wrong stats. Yeah, just some other basic bug fixes. Cleric's overhealing could cause a bug in arena. Fix some stuff with the forge, weaponsmith forge. Yeah, just some good bug fixes all around. Always good to see the game getting patched up, getting more smooth. And then for game updates, 6 new Emberflame weapon skins have been added, new bundle pack, so that's cool. I didn't buy the old Emberflame skins myself, but for people that want to buy cosmetics, it's cool that they're adding some new cool weapon skins. Cool new idea. And yeah, adjusted the Emberflame skins that were highly visible in dark environments, but they're no longer visible when the character is crouching or slow walking in the dungeons. Another great change, those skins were pretty much just pay to lose, because you couldn't ever play the darkness. You'd just always be visible due to your glowing skin. So I'm not sure if that's just for the Emberflame weapon skins, it says Emberflame skins, or if that counts for the Ifrit skin for the seasonal rewards and the fire capes and stuff. So if not, hopefully they make that change soon, because I did buy the capes because I thought they were drippy, and then I don't run them because they're just so pay to lose. Workshop feature has been improved, so when enhancing and increasing an item's rarity, previously existing attributes will now be preserved. So if you didn't know how it worked before, Basically, when you would enhance to increase an item's rarity at the workshop, it would just re-roll all the stats. So it was basically just like gambling, and most of the time you're just wasting your money because of all the dead stats in the game. So I think this is a really good change. Now, if you find like a really good blue piece, like 3 strength, 3 dex, or 3 on statted blue pieces, you can upgrade it to purple and then to legendary. And it should pretty much like add a lot of supply to the market in terms of good gear if people start using this now. So that's a great change. Excuse me. Yeah, scrapping can now be performed at any workshop once that item type workshop has been unlocked. So scrapping can now be performed at any workshop once that type workshop has been unlocked. So yeah, now you can scrap as soon as you get the workshops unlocked. Don't need to upgrade it to scrap certain items if that's how it worked. I'm guessing so. And then increase the maximum stack size for weapon scraps from 20 to 50. That's great. They took up a ton of stash space from the little I've used the feature. And then this is also big. The upgrade requirements for each workshop has been eased, and the upgrade costs have been adjusted. So yeah, it basically costed like 50,000 gold per workshop you wanted to max out. Something insane like that if you also accounted for the cost of buying all your logs and buying all the random gear pieces you needed to upgrade and scrap and all that. So yeah, they need to make that feature more accessible for sure if they want it to be used, because most people just don't want to do that. The cost of each workshop service has been adjusted to encourage more gold flow in the marketplace. Right. Yeah, probably talking about the gold cost, because yeah, like upgrading a legendary item or unique item costed like thousands of gold just to do it once, and then like I said before, it was basically a gamble. So yeah, hopefully they made it quite a bit cheaper, and I think it's a good change for the workshop. I think people might actually use it now. Another good change here, they improved sorting in the gem crafting list so that all items are now organized by identical gem types. I was pretty much used to how it was at this point, with them all placed randomly about. Kind of just had gotten used to where each item was, but I think this will be a good quality of life change moving forward, where it's all organized by rubies and then emeralds and sapphires and so on. Valentine Merchant has departed. Heart Candy can now be sold for gold coin. Nothing much to say there. And then, yeah, another W Paul change here. They increased the interaction time for opening a downstairs portcullis from 3 to 5 seconds. So yeah, it was already a great step in the right direction to add and interact with the red stairs, but it was still a little gimmicky to where if you had someone running away from you, and they got like a door or two in between you and them, and then it got to a red portal, they could get it open. And also usually like tank mobs is a thing too. Like being able to take like one mob hit is fine, but now that it's 5 seconds, they might be able to get a second mob hit in, if that makes sense. Like while they're opening, they have mobs chasing them, they ran past mobs to get to it. So that should make it a little easier to catch people that are running from you to get to the red. And then the collision volume to enter the stairs has been moved closer to the entrance. Not sure exactly what that means. I'll just have to see, because yeah, not sure how that could really affect much. And then this next change here, yeah, they talked about this in the dev podcast. They increased the duration for Goblin Caves and Ruins. These are the 2 double boss maps, and with the game only being 15 minutes long, it basically was impossible. Not impossible, depending on your class. Like Bard could do it probably pretty easily, but for most classes, it was basically impossible to do both bosses and then have time to loot the pile in the middle of the dual boss room. So only 1 more minute might not be enough time, but it's a step in the right direction to make that more doable. They also talked about this in the dev podcast. The difficulty of the Banshee has been reduced, and it now guarantees a drop of a magical weapon. I don't think they mentioned the magical weapon, but that's an interesting change. I don't think it changes much right now, but for SSF, I think that'll be nice. If you need like a spell book or something, you can just go kill Banshee and farm spell books. So yeah, I'll have to see what those difficulty changes look like. The fight was a little bit tedious. I wouldn't say like hard or annoying, but just with like the phase mechanics and it constantly teleporting everywhere and stuff like that, it just took a long time. So maybe by difficulty reduced, they mean it'll be quicker to do now, so that could probably help with the 16-minute thing as well. This one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This might be the only L change in the whole patch. Difficulty of Fire Colossus has been increased. If you know anything about that boss, it is already pretty much impossible to do, especially solo, unless you're playing like Warlock or, I don't know, Blood Exchange Barbarian. That's pretty much the only 2 classes that can do it because they need the healing. So yeah, not sure what they're cooking with that one. Maybe they just really want trios to do it, I don't know. And then greatly increase the default gear provided by the Squire. Squire will now provide all eligible poor grade base gear from the beginning, so you're not going to have only a battle axe on Barbarian and like no helmet on fighter. If you want to run Slayer, you don't have a leather cap, you know, stuff like that. So that's a great change. You're gonna be able to just yeah, basically build whatever you want. It'll still be poor grade, so it's not like too broken. You can't just instantly get common grade, but yeah, they also made the affinity required to unlock common grade gear reduced, so you don't need to do as many quests to get your common grade squire gear. So that'll be nice for the next season of SSF. And then in the Goblin Merchant's quest, Cockatrice's Lucky Feather could only be submitted as looted, and it can now be submitted as handled. So now you can buy your Lucky Feather for the Goblin Merchant quest, so that's nice. And another great change here, the Dwarf race has received additional bonuses. So now it has 10% headshot damage reduction, which is actually quite a bit. It's basically like you're wearing like a second like leather cap in terms of headshot damage reduction on top of your existing headshot damage reduction. So I think we might be seeing some dwarfs running around because, I don't know, it's already a decent skin on fighter, but just at minus 10 move speed is a bit much for no benefit. So yeah, might be seeing some dwarfs, and I'm here for it because dwarfs are fun. It was really fun at the beginning of the wipe, seeing all the dwarfs running around. It's just adds a little bit of flavor to the dungeon. They also give it 10% interaction speed to better align with other races. So they both have a debuff and a buff instead of only having a debuff. So yeah, great change. The interaction speed will be nice for the little rats running around, you know, doing their looting and mining. So yeah, people talked about this as well. So just proves they're listening to the community. Basically, lore-wise, the dwarfs are miners. You know, they mine their ores. So giving them interaction speed makes sense because they're good at mining. Yeah, more great changes. A couple of Fosh and Bargain changes. I don't interact with this much, so I don't have much to say there, but sounds like they buffed Giant Centipede and nerfed Goblins a little bit. And then moving on to the class changes, Sorcerer got a bunch of changes. I think the most out of any class. I think they're good changes, like I said. A lot of good changes here, so this one's great. They removed the Spell Merge perk, and it's now available as a base ability. Maybe a bit of a translation issue here, but I'm assuming by base ability they mean it's just innate to the class now. It doesn't need to be equipped as a skill or a perk, or you know, as an ability or a perk anymore. You can just merge spells innately. So that's great because Spell Merge was just basically a must take. So Sorcerer basically only had 3 perk slots because this didn't do anything except for allow you to cast merged spells, which is pretty much a must on that class with how strong the merged spells are. And then they updated the default perk on character creation from Spell Merge to Mana Flow. Makes sense because that's not a perk anymore. Mud shield size increased by 10% and duration increased from 6 to 7 seconds. 6, 7, pause. Yeah, I think that's a good buff too from a little bit of Sorc that I've played. Did mess around with Mud Shield a little bit when it first came out, and that spell was really fun, but it just didn't feel super strong. So might be seeing a little bit of Mud Shield now. And then they gave a couple buffs to Melee Sorc. Glaciate now deals additional ice magical damage, and Stone Skin physical damage bonus increased from 5% to 10%. So Melee Sorc, you didn't really see it too much, I think just because it's pretty weak in comparison to the caster version especially, and like other melee classes. So maybe this slight buff, you might see some more Melee Sorc. Maybe it's kind of good now. Don't know. We'll just have to see. And then they buffed Lightning Bolt a little bit. 5 to 7 base damage, same scaling. I feel like it was already pretty strong on Book Sorc. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. It's definitely pretty weak when you're casting with your hands. But if you're casting with your hands, you probably pretty much never cast it like that anyways. You'd probably combine it for the one that freezes you. Forget what it's called. Flame strike damage reduced from 30 to 25. I think that's a good change as well. That spell was pretty quick in terms of how fast it comes out and pretty hard to dodge. So yeah, just did a lot of damage too. So slight damage nerf there. That's pretty good. Fire orb damage has been increased from 25 to 30, and its explosion damage radius has been reduced to better match the explosion visual effect. So yeah, slight buff to fire orb. I think that makes sense. No one really uses that. So it's always nice seeing spells that don't really get used being buffed. And then Wall of Fire got a slight nerf. Another good change, I think, in my opinion. So the initial damage has been reduced from 20 to 10. And the damage over time has been increased from 10 to 20. While the duration got reduced by 2 seconds from 10 to 8. The initial damage, like when he spawns under your feet, was pretty much impossible to dodge. And it felt like it did too much. And then the damage over time when he walked through the firewall after he'd already placed it, felt like it pretty much did no damage, and it was like it didn't really do anything. So yeah, both sides being changed properly, if you ask me. I think this will kind of put it more in line with what the spell feels like it should be, which is like a zoning spell rather than instant damage, put it under you as they're running at you type of spell. So yeah, good change there. And then Flamethrower, damage increased from 20 to 25. Not sure exactly how Flamethrower works. That's one I haven't really used much, but if this means 20 to 25 damage per second, then that's probably a pretty substantial change. So I don't know if you're going to be like seeing it used too much because of how low the range is. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And then slight nerf to the Earth Elemental. It lasts 6 seconds less from 24 to 18. I think that's a good change. That thing lasted way too long. And then the Lava version has its health increased, but duration reduced. I think that makes sense as well, because if I remember correctly, you have to use 2 different spells that are longer cooldowns. I'm not too sure, but yeah, slight change there. Next up we have Druid. So again, not super positive on whether this is a buff or a nerf, but they basically increased the duration of his 2 like heal over time heals. So Nature's Touch and Restore went from 10 to 12 seconds, but they reduced the scaling from 0.33 to 0.25, so lasts a little longer but scales less with, I assume, magical healing. So yeah, not sure. If you know, let me know down in the comments if that is a buff or a nerf. Don't really play much Druid or healer Druid. And then yeah, Barbarian, some much needed nerfs here. I think, again, most of the community agreed that Barbarian was a little too strong, especially in solos. It felt like Barbarian was one of the only classes that you could consistently do well on, and it didn't really have any counters. So this should maybe pull it in line with the other classes a little bit. But basically, Reckless Attack now has a duration. Reckless and Achilles both have a duration, so they can't just like hold them forever until the perfect moment. Reckless Attack, that wasn't a super big issue, because it was kind of a debuff having that up if you weren't going to use it. But Achilles didn't make sense. You could just hold it forever until they're on top of you, until they had the perfect Franny lined up. So that's a good change that they both have a duration now, and they have to actually like play it properly. They can't just hold it forever. And then Reckless Attack got the armor pen reduced from 60 to 50%. So another nerf to Reckless Attack. I think it was 70% just 2 patches ago. Now it's down to 50%. And yeah, I think most people would agree that this was needed, except maybe the brainless barbarians out there that just hold W key, because it just didn't feel right. Dying in 2 hits in like half a second on like a full plate fighter. As much as you want to argue that there's, you know, counters to every class, this counter just felt a little bit too strong. So yeah, I think that was a good change. And then Berserker, another great change here. Berserker was pretty much like a must-take on Barbarian with just all the stats that it gave you. It was pretty much too much to ignore. So they changed it from 3% to 2% per minus 10% of your missing max health. So yeah, it used to give you up to 30% physical damage bonus if you were 10% health or lower. And now it's only up to 20%. So another good change. I think that'll help a lot with bringing Barbarian, like I said, in line with the other classes, especially in solos. And then Warcry cooldown increased from 24 to 28 seconds. Not a major substantial change there, but you know, I'm here for the Barbarian nerfs. I don't like playing against that class, if I'm being honest. Call it what you want, but yeah, that class just felt too strong. And then Rage, they pretty much like gutted Rage, I think. I mean, I don't know, it's not gutted. So the strength has been reduced from 15 to 10. Physical damage reduction penalty reduced from 15 to -5. And Vigor has been removed entirely, so it doesn't give you any Vig anymore. It gives you 5 less strength, so 5 less strength, 15 less Vig, but the PDR trade-off is less. So I think that's definitely a nerf for sure. And yeah, I think that's a good thing, because Rage, especially in solos, was pretty much a must-take. Just because it was too many stats. I think it's still going to be taken a lot just for the move speed. I think maybe if they really wanted to bring it in line with the other classes to get in there for the move speed a little bit. But I don't know. That might be doing too much at that point. I think this is a good start. And then we'll just have to see how it feels. But yeah, some great changes there. Barbarian getting put in his place like he should be, if you ask me. Now for the last few changes here, we got the item changes. So they buffed the sling damage by 5 and reduced the movement speed penalty by 5. So yeah, I don't think I've seen one single person use a sling, except for like maybe day 1 of wipe when people were trying it out. So yeah, I think that's a good change. It's always good when they're changing weapons and stuff like that that no one's using. So yeah, same thing with the Flange Mace and Felling Axe. People didn't really use those much. They buffed the weapon damage by 1 on the Flange Mace and 2 on the Felling Axe. Don't think people are going to be using the Felling Axe still. If you've ever used that weapon, you know why. It's just super counterable. And the missing a swing penalty is just too much. You miss a swing and you're pretty much cooked if the enemy player knows what they're doing. and know how to punish it properly. Leviathan wave hit range has been increased to better match the projectile visual effect. That's a good change. I got a Leviathan earlier this wipe and ended up selling it, but I was messing around with it a little bit in PvE, and I could definitely tell, like just trying to throw the little water waves at enemies, that it wasn't really lining up properly with what it looked like they were doing and when they were actually hitting, so that's a good change. And then they changed 3 different plate helmets to have more headshot damage reduction. So Hound Skull went from 23 to 24. And then they also buffed the magic resist penalty from -10 to -5. Armament goes from 18 to 23, and Crusader goes from 18 to 20. I think those are good. I think the Armament and Crusader helm were not used much just because Hound Skull was so meta with that damage reduction. I think those are good changes all around. It's always not great when one piece in one specific slot is like best of the best always, because it just drives the price of that piece up like crazy, because if you're building a good kit, you pretty much have to take it. And then it makes it less accessible for the average player to be able to buy good gear. So with the Hound Skull, Armament, and Crusader helm all probably being pretty much valid now. Probably Armament and Hound Skull are at least pretty much in line with each other now. Crusader still a little low, but you know, definitely usable now. I think that's always great to have more options in terms of build diversity, and it'll just help with like overall market and economy things. So yeah, good changes there. And then finally, Wizard Hat added 3 additional memcap and headshot damage reduction, increased from 5 to 8. Still don't think you're really going to see people running Wizard Hat. 3 memcap doesn't really do much. It's kind of a dead stat. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you really need memcap in your build, then like, yeah, I don't know. Probably not going to see people running that still, but I don't know. Buffs to unused gear pieces is good, like I said, but that's not a very good one, to say the least. And then we'll just quickly glance over the developer comments and see what they have to say. So this hotfix brings several improvements based directly on community feedback. W. We'd love to see that. Including fixes to the workshop, Ember Flame skins, and overall game balance. The initial launch of the workshop had some rough edges, and we made some quick adjustments based on your feedback. We've streamlined upgrading your workshops by reducing much of the mindless upgrade requirements. We've also made it much easier to scrap your items by allowing you to scrap any of your workshops once an item has been unlocked. Maximum stack count for scraps in your inventory has also been increased from 20 to 50 to better handle all your new scraps. W. We started to work to better differentiate the various services at the workshop. The workshop enhanced service has been improved, so it no longer rerolls all the modifiers of an item. Instead, enhancing an item at a workshop simply adds a new random modifier while maintaining their previous attributes. Enhancing an item from legendary unique grade randomly selects a single modifier from the currently attached. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's gonna make it very worth it. Because you can get a legendary with like, wow, I'm curious to see what that's gonna do to the market. You can get a legendary with like 3, even 4 really good stats, and then when you upgrade it to a unique, you're pretty much guaranteed to get like a good statted unique. So that's great. Yeah, I think that's a really good change to make like uniques more accessible, but it also might make legendaries pretty expensive, like at least good statted ones. Then again, you could just gem it, no? Can't you just gem like 4 base stats on a legendary and then upgrade it and like get a guaranteed great unique? I'll have to do some testing there, but that seems like it could be a money making strategy. And then they say the prices for the services has also been significantly rebalanced based on changes in the game economy and then really improved functionality. Set service workshops costs high to counter some of the high gold inflation in the economy. However, the gold sink has caused heavier than expected deflationary pressures on the marketplace. Right. Significantly decreased the gold costs, adjusted the material costs to better encourage gold flow in the markets. Good. Update also sees the expansion of the Ember Flame skins to cover more popular weapons, including the Bardiche, Longbow, Arming Sword, and more. Always good. Improve the functionality, allowing you to stay hid in the dark. And then finally, this update includes many balance improvements asked by the community, including increased session times for certain maps, rework of the Banshee. Be on the lookout for the season's adventure and arena rewards in the next update. Nice. This update gives adventurers enough time to grind out their ranks before the end of the season in the end of April. As always, thank you and see you in the dungeons. W Paul, man. Paul is cooking, like I was saying. Yeah, great patch all around. Not much to say other than that. Like I said, I think the only change that's a little bit odd is the buff to, where's it at? The buff to the Fire Colossus. Made the Fire Colossus more difficult. I'm like blind and can't find it now, but yeah, I think that's the only questionable change in the whole patch. That boss was already really hard, but other than that, like, just like straight W's, man. All really good changes for the game. Stuff that, as I said in the developer comments, things that people have been asking for quite a while. Not even quite a while. Like they're on top of it, man. Like people started asking for this, you know, a month, maybe 2 months, 3 months max. If you think about like the dwarf skin when it first came out. And yeah, they're just jumping on this stuff and giving us changes that we actually want for once. So yeah, again, happy to see this game going in the right direction, man. Absolutely love this game. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Paul and the rest of the team cooks up in the future. And just excited for the game's future in general. Hopefully we can see us return to the numbers we once had and see this game getting the popularity that it deserves. Yeah, that's going to be about it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, learned something if you hadn't seen the hotfix yet. Yeah, if you do appreciate the information, maybe drop me a like and a sub if you think you might watch my videos in the future. And yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.